Mammon is the demon of greed and one of the 7 princes of hell. He's also known as Plutus, Prince of Greed, Grand Treasurer of Hell, and the Avaricious Wolf. In medieval times, Mammon was commonly understood to be a malevolent demon or a pagan god of antiquity. But in a lot of ways, Mammon is symbolic of materialism. The scriptures don't even capitalize the M in Mammon's name many times, instead using it as a loose term and not a singular entity. This is because to the ancient Hebrews, Mammon represented greed or the pursuit of personal gain, and not necessarily a demon whispering into the ears of humanity. Hence why in the Bible Jesus says you cannot serve Mammon and God at the same time. But I don't want to get too into talking about literal mentions of Mammon from scripture, more so the demonology aspect of Mammon. However, bizarrely, similar terms even existed in Hellenistic Greece and many other classical nations, with the more ancient name for the Prince of Hell being Mammona. And this offshoot name for the embodiment of greed and gluttony is oddly found in many cultures that have had little to no contact with one another throughout history. Scholars think that Mammon, the demon, was initially a Syrian deity that was personified into Western culture during the Middle Ages. Looking further into it, just who this ancient Syrian god is or was is not an easy task. The truth is most likely lost to history, but who knows? Still a lot of buried ruins to discover. Still, some say it's possible that Mammon was inspired by the Greek god of wealth, Plutus. In the famous Dante's Inferno, Plutus is a powerful demon that guards the 4th circle of hell, which is the circle of greed. So there are many possibilities of what deity Mammon was originally called in the ancient world. However, it wasn't long after the end of the classical age that Mammon became widely known as the demon of greed and the love of money. Money in and of itself is not good or bad, which is a common misunderstanding. In the scriptures, it is the love of money that is the root of all evil, and not money itself. In fact, to the Hebrews, God wanted the faithful to be wealthy, so that's an often misinterpreted line of scripture. It's the greed aspect that is the root of all evil, and the demon of greed is well known in a variety of demonologies. And he is also the demon of one of the 7 deadly sins, avarice. In the famous book Paradise Lost, Mammon is one of the fallen angels that rebelled against God and has an obsession with human riches. Mammon fell from grace after Lucifer was cast out of heaven, or if you follow the apocryphal texts, the leader of the Watchers, Samyaza, the angel that was responsible for leading the Bnei Elohim to create the Nephilim by sleeping with human women. However, even before being cast out of heaven, Mammon cared more about the splendor, the golden roads, and all the wondrous treasure in paradise than both God or even Lucifer's cause. So it might actually not have been so bad for Mammon being cast out and all, because he had even better access to his greatest obsession, earthly riches.
Mammon led them on. Mammon, the least erected spirit that fell from heaven, or even in heaven. His looks and thoughts were always downward bent, admiring more the riches of heaven's pavement, trodden gold, than aught divine or holy else enjoyed in vision beatific. By him first, men also, and by his suggestion taught, ransacked the center, and with impious hands rifled the bowels of their mother earth for treasures better hid. Soon had his crew opened into the hill a spacious wound, and digged out ribs of gold.
Paradise Lost. The princes of hell are the highest ranking entities of the infernal plane, with Leviathan being the only one that was not originally a mighty angel of heaven. The first 3 to awaken after being cast into the abyss were Lucifer, Beelzebub, and Sathanas, the 3 top rulers of hell. The name Sathanas may raise an eyebrow, but you might know him by one of his other two names in this narrative, Samael or Satan. However, this in no way diminishes the power of the other princes, and Mammon has legions upon legions of demons at his command. Demonologists have classified a cascading litany of demonic entities that have both complemented one another as much as they have contradicted each other. In these hierarchies, there are many kings of hell, dukes of hell, and many more titles that come with legions of spirits at their command and whatnot. But even the demon kings of the Goetia and all other demonic powers are subject to the 7 princes of hell. They are on a whole different level and were once among the ranks of the most powerful angels in heaven. Demonology has many famous texts, and it's in the Dictionnaire Infernal written in the 1800s that Mammon is described to instill the desire within humans to bleed the earth dry for all its treasures. So, just like in Paradise Lost, in this view, Mammon is the demon who taught humanity to want more and more wealth and do anything to get it, no matter how it may harm others or nature. In the famous book on demonology, Classification of Demons by Peter Binsfield, Mammon is one of the 7 princes of hell and the personification of greed. And this is one of the most dangerous demons because people worship Mammon without even realizing they are worshiping Mammon, which can lead to one's soul being damned completely unexpectedly. Indeed, it is the easiest demon to worship on accident. Oddly enough, though, Mammon can also be very helpful in gaining material wealth. The demon lord knows all the secrets of prosperity and living a life of pure abundance. For being the demon of greed, Mammon is actually very eager to help out those stuck in poverty, or those who seek to attain financial freedom. Obviously, seeking a demon for assistance is not something most people would ever seek out, but it's interesting how eager this Prince of Hell is to assist mortals in wealth accumulation. You don't even gotta sell your soul or anything like that at a crossroads, which is popular in devil-dealing lore. Mammon is content for payment as little as some incense, or even lit candles, and Mammon won't try to trick or manipulate humans with manipulative contracts that lead to horrific long-term outcomes, but genuinely wants to help out for some reason. It could be possible this is because anyone who becomes obsessed with the love of money will belong to the Demon Lord anyway, but who knows? There is no trick when making a deal with a Mammon, which is actually a pretty common thing in the themes of making deals with devils. The Prince of Hell just really wants a human to become greedy because if they become greedy, he wins. And most who do get Mammon's help do fall to greed and thus are damned, so I guess there's no need for a trick. People just naturally do it on their own.
Greed is known by many things. It is also known as avarice, cupidity, or covetousness. It is the inordinate desire to possess wealth, goods, or objects of abstract value with the intention to keep it for oneself. It is applied to a markedly high desire or in pursuit of wealth, status, and power. And does it harm you? No. It gives you power. It gives you strength, far beyond that of any mortal could ever hope to comprehend. With power, you are untouchable.
Most depictions of Mammon are wolf-like in nature from the medieval ages, but this has changed over time. Probably because during the Middle Ages, wolves were associated with greed and wealth hoarding and stuff like that. But there are many other depictions of the Demon Lord as well. Mammon can appear as an obese man covered in shining jewelry, just as often as his demonic humanoid wolf form. But he can also just look like a stereotypical demon, and myriad other bizarre depictions throughout the ages. In the demonological text Dictionnaire Infernal, Mammon's depiction is just a bony older man who could easily blend in with society. The princes of hell all have their own punishments they face for eternity in the abyss, with any incarnation they take outside of hell merely being an avatar. Mammon's eternal punishment is being chained to a rock and ripped apart by beasts over and over